They were therefore irritated by the fact that she did not oppose me in anything. Nay, she seemed to be in perpetual adoration in front of her son. This conflict was to increase in the 3 years of my public life, when it culminated with open reproaches every time they met me in the midst of crowds, and were ashamed of what they considered my mania for vexing the powerful classes, and they rebuked me and my poor mother. Mary was aware of the moods of her relatives and was able to foresee their future tempers. They were not all like James, Judas and Simon or their mother Mary of Clopas. But although she knew what her lot was going to be during the 3 years of my public life, and was aware of her destiny and mine at the end of the 3 years, she did not recalcitrate as you do. She cried. And which mother would not have cried because of the separation from a son who loved her as I loved mine, or because of the prospect of long days devoid of my presence in a solitary house, or because of the dreary outlook of a son doomed to butt against the malice of guilty people who took vengeance for their guilt by offending the blameless one to the extent of killing him. She cried because she was the co-redeemer, and because she was the mother of mankind who were being born once again to God. And she had to cry for all the mothers who are not able to turn their motherly sorrows into a crown of eternal glory. I shall pause. Yes, Jesus did say there she was the co-redeemer and she was the mother of mankind. Now in Revelation 12 we see the mother has numerous children whom Satan tries to hunt down. Well, that's Mary anyway, chapter 12, book of Revelation. It lends support to all our elevated doctrines of Mary. So, Protestants do play down in their biblical analysis that woman clothed with the Son. It's Israel, it's whoever, but it's not Mary. The point though, calling her co-redeemer, that can create horrified expressions from Protestants. Well, co simply means with. She joined herself to him. Does not St. Paul say in Colossians that he makes up in his suffering, in his body, what is lacking in the sufferings of Christ? We can all be co-redeemers. But Mary, of course, is going to be the co-redeemer par excellence for reasons which should be obvious from just the little bit of information we get from the Gospels. This is her son who is being described, who's going through awful sufferings. So she must be too. And she's at the cross. So that's enough. But to help us out, Jesus gives us this detailed account of the private and public ministry. So we can see Mary's involvement. So we can fully understand why she is the co-redeemer or co-redemptrix par excellence. How many mothers there are in the world from whose arms death snatches their creatures. How many mothers there are whose sons are torn away from their sides by a supernatural will. As the mother of all Christians, Mary cried for all her daughters, and in her sorrow of a bereft mother, she cried for all her sisters, and she cried for all her sons, who, born of a woman, were to become apostles of God, or martyrs for God's sake, because of their loyalty to God, or because of man's cruelty. My blood and my mother's tears are the mixture that fortifies those destined to a heroic fate, obliterates their imperfections and the sins they committed because of their weakness, and, in addition to martyrdom, in whatever way suffered, it grants them the peace of God and then the glory of heaven, if they suffered for God. The missionary fathers find that mixture to be a flame that warms them in the regions covered by perpetual snow, and they find it to be a dew when the sun is scorching. Mary's tears originate from her charity, and they gush out from her heart of a lily. They therefore possess the fire of virginal charity, the spouse of love, and the scented freshness of virginal purity, like the drops of water which gather in the chalice of a lily on a dewy night. Our mixture is found by those consecrated in the desert of a well-understood monastic life. It is a desert because it only lives in communion with God, whilst all other affections fade away and become pure supernatural charity towards relatives, friends, superiors, and inferiors. It is found by those consecrated to God in the world that neither understands nor loves them. A desert also for them, as they live in it as if they were alone. So much are they misunderstood and mocked for my sake. Our mixture is found by my dear victims, because Mary is the first victim for Jesus' love, and with her hands of a mother and a doctor, she gives her followers her tears which refreshen and urge to a greater sacrifice. Holy tears of my mother. Mary prays. She does not object to praying because God had given her sorrows. Remember that. She prays together with Jesus. She prays the Father, ours and yours. The first Our Father was said in the kitchen garden in Nazareth to console Mary's pain, to offer our wills to the eternal Father when a period of greater and greater sacrifices was about to begin for us, culminating with the sacrifice of my life and my mother's acceptance of the death of her son.